Our movie begins with the main character, Senna Hitani, who is a member of an idol group. She had taken the place of her deceased sister, Heidi Hitani, who had suddenly disappeared. Senna's lifelong dream was to become a famous singer, but unfortunately, the group eventually broke up. One day, Senna woke up on a beach and found herself surrounded by 20 other girls. When they all woke up, they realized they were on the same beach, but most of them didn't know each other. They gradually started introducing themselves and getting acquainted. Some of them already knew one another, while others were complete strangers. Among them, Senna found her friend Irina, and the girls began forming friendships. Suddenly, a man appeared accompanied by 2 guards. He introduced himself and informed them that they were all participants in a competition called Cinderella, known as the game of the season. He explained that their participation was mandatory and, as the host of the game, he would explain the rules. He then described how the game worked. Hidden cards were scattered across the island every morning at 7 a.m., and the contestants had to find and collect them. The cards came in different types, including the princess, stepmother, and witch cards. The competition system worked much like a card game, with certain cards defeating others according to specific rules. He explained that all cards had to be collected before 7 p.m., and everyone was required to gather at a designated location before that time. The winner of the competition would receive support from a talent agency, along with fame, wealth, and a recording contract. Anyone who lost the game or violated its rules would die because of a collar around their neck. The girls were shocked and questioned how a collar could kill someone. The host revealed that each collar contained poison, and any contestant who lost or broke the rules would be injected with it and die instantly. He then informed them that their cell phones were inside their bags and would help them locate cards around the island. At that moment, one of the girls objected and said, "What kind of nonsense is this? I don't care about anything you're saying." The host immediately pressed a button in his hand, and poison was injected into her neck. She died right in front of everyone within seconds. Afterward, he explained the card hierarchy. The princess card defeats the stepmother card card defeats the witch card, and the witch card defeats the princess card. There were also special cards that could improve a contestant's chances of winning. These cards could be purchased using points earned through their phones. To earn points, contestants had to complete specific tasks and objectives while searching for cards. Completing these tasks rewarded them with points that could later be used to purchase optional cards before battles. He also warned them that anyone who acted violently toward another contestant would be immediately eliminated from the game. The host further explained that every day at exactly 7 p.m., 2 contestants would face off. The winner would survive, while the loser would die. The girls quickly scattered across the island to search for cards. During the search, Senna found a card while she was with Irina and wanted to give it to her. However, Irina refused and told her, "It belongs to you." Suddenly, everyone heard a loud commotion and ran toward the source of the noise. They found one contestant chasing her friend and trying to steal her cards. Senna attempted to intervene and calm the situation, but the girl pushed her away and told her to mind her own business. As the contestant continued trying to take the cards by force, the collar around her neck lit up red, and she was immediately injected with poison. Moments later, the host's voice echoed through the island's loudspeakers, announcing that contestant number 2 had been eliminated for misconduct. He once again reminded everyone to follow the rules. While searching with another girl, Senna's phone alerted her to a nearby card. Her companion went to look for it and found it, then offered it to Senna. However, Senna declined, saying, "I'll get the next card myself." As they continued searching, that same girl betrayed Senna, stole all of her cards, and ran away. Heartbroken, Senna wandered off sadly until she ran into Irina again. Relieved, she said, "I'm so glad I found you." At that moment, the host spoke through the loudspeakers once more, reminding everyone to purchase their option cards before the competition began and announcing that only 5 minutes remained. Senna checked her phone and noticed that her points had increased, though she didn't know why. Irina suggested it was probably because she had followed the game's rules. Senna now had enough points to buy a pumpkin card. Irina even offered to give her some of her own cards, but Senna refused and replied, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Soon, the competition began, and all the contestants gathered together. The host randomly selected the first pair of competitors, Ayami and Teiko. They placed their cards on the table and flipped them over. Ayami revealed a stepmother card, while Teiko had a witch card, giving Ayami the victory. The winner was then escorted to the dormitory room where the contestants would sleep. The host continued the competition and selected the next pair. This time, Senna was matched against Mozoro, the friend who had previously betrayed her and stolen her cards. Since Senna had purchased option cards earlier, she was given 5 pumpkin cards. However, her friend became very upset when she learned that Senna had option cards. When they played their first 2 cards, it was a pumpkin carriage card against a witch card, but the host announced that the result was a draw between the 2 contestants. He then began explaining the option cards. He said that the pumpkin carriage card results in a tie, while the clock card provides certain special advantages. As for the glass slipper card, because of its high value, he decided to explain it later. At that point, Mozoro used up the 4 cards she had left and started to panic after running out of cards. Senna, meanwhile, hesitated to play her 5th card because she was afraid her friend might die. However, the host informed her that she had only 3 seconds left, and if she failed to place her card, she would be eliminated from the game. In the end, Mozoro lost the match, while Senna won and was escorted back to her room. The competition then continued with the final 2 contestants. They revealed their cards, and it was a princess card versus a witch card. The witch card won, and its owner, Suzuki, advanced. Meanwhile, Senna sat sadly in her room until she realized that Irina was staying in the same room with her. The 2 friends spent time talking and agreed that they needed to work together. They encouraged each other and promised to support one another throughout the game. The next morning, everyone gathered at 7 a.m. The host announced that anyone who failed to arrive on time would be immediately eliminated from the competition. Irina and Senna agreed to split up while searching for cards. Irina would search one side of the island while Senna explored the southern area. As Senna searched, she spotted a card in the distance. Unfortunately, one of her rivals saw it too. Both girls rushed toward it, but Senna tripped, and they ended up grabbing the same card at the exact same moment. Later, another round of matches began. In the first matchup, a witch card faced a pumpkin carriage card, and the host declared the result a tie. Then the contestants played another pair of cards. This time, Irina's witch card went up against a clock card, and the host announced that the witch card defeated the clock card, giving Irina the victory. Irina immediately walked over to Senna, hugged her, placed several cards into her hands, and said, "Stay strong and don't be afraid." Soon afterward, it was Senna's turn to compete. She stood across from her rival, Rue, and their battle quickly became as much a psychological contest as a strategic one. Rue said, "I'm going to play the princess card." Senna replied, "Then I'll play the witch card." Rue smirked and said, "If you're telling the truth, then you'll be the one who wins." When they revealed their cards, Senna had indeed played the witch card, while Rue had played the pumpkin carriage card. "So you were lying," Senna said. Rue responded, "In the next round, I'll use the stepmother card." Rue was deliberately saying this because she knew Senna was kind-hearted and likely to believe her, which could trick her into choosing the wrong card. When the second round began, Rue actually played the witch card, while Senna used the pumpkin carriage card. As everyone knew, any match involving the pumpkin carriage card ended in a draw, except in certain situations involving special option cards. The third round followed. Senna played the clock card, while Rue once again used the pumpkin carriage card. The host announced that the clock card defeated the pumpkin carriage card, giving Senna the victory. Later that night, Irina and Senna talked in their room while making plans for the following day. Irina told her about an area where she had found a large number of cards and said that if they searched there together, they might be able to collect nearly 50 cards. However, Senna was feeling anxious. "What if we end up facing each other tomorrow?" she asked. "Only one of us would survive." Irina was clearly affected by her words. After a brief silence, she replied, "We'll do everything we can. The rest is out of our hands." That night, while looking around her room, Senna suddenly saw a terrifying vision of her sister standing before her with a rope wrapped around her body, staring at her and laughing. Senna was horrified, but moments later she realized it was only a hallucination. By the third day, the competition had been narrowed down to just 4 contestants. Senna and Irina headed to the area they had planned to search together. When they arrived, they found a huge number of cards scattered across the area. However, most of them turned out to be blank cards. It became clear that this was a trap set up by the agency running the game. Irina looked around and said, "We need to go through all of these cards. There have to be at least a few usable ones hidden among them." Suddenly, the girl with the injured eye appeared before them and started acting like a victim, claiming that everyone needed to trust one another. Irina replied, "Then why have you been spying on us and following us around?" The girl immediately rushed off to collect cards, but Irina stopped her, and an argument broke out between them. During the struggle, the eye patch covering the girl's injured eye fell off. Irina quickly picked it up, and the girl began chasing her while shouting, "Give it back!" She continued pursuing her until she finally caught up to her and knocked her to the ground. Then she started screaming in her face, demanding the patch back. Irina simply mocked her and said, "Looks like you forgot the rules." At that moment, the collar around the injured girl's neck lit up, and the host's voice echoed through the loudspeakers. A reminder to all contestants, violence is strictly prohibited in this competition. Afterward, everyone resumed their search for cards. While searching, Irina stopped Senna and said, "We need to split up here." As she was handing some of her cards to Senna, Suzuki suddenly appeared. She looked devastated and was crying. "We've all become monsters," she said. "We're killing each other just because every one of us wants to survive." Then she snatched the cards from Irina's hands and ran toward a cliff overlooking the ocean. Once she reached the top, she threw all the cards into the sea. "Be careful! You're going to fall!" Senna shouted, but Suzuki didn't hear her warning. Her foot slipped, and she nearly plunged off the cliff. Senna immediately grabbed her hand, while Irina grabbed Senna to keep her from falling as well. "Let her go!" Irina yelled. "Why are you trying to save her?" But Senna refused to let go. Then, without warning, Irina deliberately released Senna's hand, causing both Senna and Suzuki to fall. Irina believed that doing so would increase her chances of winning the competition. However, Senna managed to save herself, while Suzuki lost her life. Later, Senna arrived at the competition area and found Irina there, screaming in panic while the collar around her neck glowed brightly. "Forgive me," Irina cried. "I'm the one responsible for your death and your sister's death. I wanted to win this competition so badly that I felt I had no choice." Moments later, Irina died before Senna's eyes. Senna stood there in complete shock, unable to understand what had just happened. "Why did you kill her when she was already falling apart?" she asked the host. The host then revealed the truth. He explained that the game had actually started 2 years earlier, and that Irina had defeated Senna's sister during the previous season. However, the competition director felt that having Irina win twice in a row would be boring for the audience. On top of that, viewers had started losing interest in her. He then revealed that the entire competition was broadcast live 24 hours a day, and that the contestants' points came directly from viewers who paid money to watch. "All those points you earned," he told Senna, "were simply a reflection of your popularity among the audience watching you right now." At that moment, the host received word that the audience wanted to see the final showdown. "But is there even anyone left for me to face?" Senna asked. The host laughed loudly. "Get ready for a surprise." He then revealed that Senna's sister, who had vanished under mysterious circumstances and was believed to be dead, had actually survived. She had been one of the contestants in previous seasons of the competition. Because the audience loved her and she had accumulated an enormous number of points, the organizers had kept her alive specifically so she could eventually face her sister. When Senna saw her standing there, she was completely stunned. Her sister looked at her and said, "This year, you finally have a chance to win the idol competition." She then took Irina's cards and added them to her own collection. Afterward, she told Senna that the agency had been on the verge of choosing her as the winner. But Senna shook her head and replied, "I don't care about the agency or even this competition. I enter this game only to fulfill the dream that belonged to you." Jealousy immediately appeared in Heidi's eyes. "I never want to hear people say that Senna's sister, the famous star," she said bitterly. "I'd rather lose to you and die than hear those words even once." The two sisters then stood face to face in the final match. The game began, and Heidi felt confident because she possessed a huge collection of cards, while Senna had almost none. Using the points she had accumulated, Senna purchased just a single card. And that's when the biggest surprise of all was revealed. Heidi played the witch card and said, "I'm sorry. No one should have had to achieve my dream for me." But Senna answered with confidence, "There's no need to apologize. Ever since I was a child, people called me Heidi's little sister." That's when I realized that the stage was where I truly belonged. She looked directly into her sister's eyes and declared, "I want to become the star of the idol competition myself." Then she flipped over her card. It was the glass slipper card, the most valuable card in the entire competition. A card capable of defeating any other card it faced. Heidi immediately turned to the host and shouted, "What is that card? No one ever told me anything about it." The host calmly replied, "To obtain that card, a contestant must accumulate 30,000 points. It defeats every other card in the game. And Senna is the first contestant since this competition began to ever purchase it." In the end, the collar around Heidi's neck lit up, signaling her defeat. Senna had defeated her sister. The host then presented Senna with the grand prize, bringing the competition to an end. And with that, our movie comes to a close. Thank you for watching, and don't forget that your opinion matters to us. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.